Panic on Indian train leads to 13 deaths as passengers jump into path of oncoming express. In a horrifying and tragic incident that underscores the fragile state of railway safety and passenger behavior in India, at least 13 people lost their lives after a sudden panic on a stationary train led them to jump onto the tracks, only to be struck by an oncoming express train. The shocking event took place in the early hours of the morning near the Sirhind railway station in Punjab, sending shockwaves across the nation and igniting debate about safety, misinformation, and the need for emergency awareness on Indian trains. The incident unfolds. According to reports from Indian Railways and eyewitness testimonies, the tragedy occurred when a group of passengers aboard the stationary train, identified as the Saharsa Amritsar Jan Sewa Express, mistook it for having caught fire. A plume of smoke, which later turned out to be due to a short circuit or an overheated brake component, spread through several coaches. With poor lighting and no immediate communication from train officials, fear quickly spread. In the ensuing chaos, panicked passengers began to pry open doors and windows, desperately trying to escape. Some, fearing a massive fire outbreak, jumped from the train onto the opposite track in complete darkness, unaware of an express train, the Chandigarh-Dibrugarh Express, racing through on that line. Unaware of an express train, the Chandigarh-Dibrugarh Express, racing through on that line. Within seconds, tragedy struck. The express train, moving at high speed and unable to stop in time, ran over several passengers who had landed on the tracks. The aftermath was catastrophic: mangled bodies, terrified survivors, and a scene that left railway staff and local emergency services reeling. A night of terror. The victims were mostly migrant workers and their families, returning from their hometowns after the summer holidays. The panic was exacerbated by the fact that many were sleeping when the smoke incident occurred, making the situation even more disorienting. Those who escaped injury described the moment as a nightmare in real life, with people shouting, pushing, and climbing over one another in total confusion. Someone screamed fire, and the next thing I knew, everyone was trying to escape. I saw people jump off blindly. I shouted to stop them, but no one was listening, said 28-year-old survivor Rajesh Kumar, who managed to pull his wife and child back just in time. Local villagers and railway employees rushed to the scene to help, but the sheer speed at which the express train passed made it impossible to prevent the carnage. Rescue teams arrived within minutes but could do little for those already killed. Investigation underway. The Ministry of Railways has launched a full-scale inquiry into the disaster. Preliminary findings suggest that the train's braking system may have overheated, causing smoke to rise, which led to confusion among the passengers. Officials stated that there was no actual fire, but admitted that the train's crew failed to communicate this quickly and effectively. We deeply regret the loss of lives and are conducting a thorough investigation. There appears to have been a communication failure, and we are looking into how this panic escalated, said Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw in a press briefing. He further announced compensation of 10 lakh rupees, approximately $12,000, for the families of the deceased and 2 lakh rupees, $2,400, for those injured. A pattern of neglect. This isn't the first time panic on a train in India has led to such a horrifying outcome. With over 8 billion passenger journeys per year, the Indian railway system is under immense pressure. Often overburdened, underfunded, and lacking in modern emergency infrastructure, the network has repeatedly been the site of preventable tragedies. Experts point out that Indian trains still rely heavily on outdated technology, insufficient crew training, and poor crisis response protocols. In many trains, emergency instructions are barely visible, public announcements are rare, and staff are not equipped to handle crowd psychology under duress. Railway safety expert Anil Sharma noted, "This is a systemic issue. When passengers don't feel informed or safe, even a minor issue can spiral into tragedy. There must be better passenger education, crew training, and modern systems to handle emergencies." Role of misinformation and herd behavior. Psychologists analyzing the incident say it illustrates the power of misinformation and herd behavior in enclosed, high-stress environments. In such situations, even a small misinterpretation, like seeing smoke, can snowball into mass panic. Human beings are wired to react quickly to danger, especially when others around them panic, explained behavioral expert Dr. Priya Malhotra. The lack of authority intervention or accurate information in the early seconds can mean the difference between order and chaos. This behavioral dynamic was tragically evident as passengers continued jumping onto the tracks even as some tried to stop them. In that moment, fear overpowered rational thinking. Call for reform. the horrific events have reignited calls for reform in Indian railways. Critics argue that beyond just fixing tracks and upgrading trains, the system must incorporate psychological safety, real-time communication tools, and better emergency preparedness. Several activists and opposition leaders have called for a nationwide audit of passenger safety systems on trains. Some have even demanded the resignation of top railway officials, claiming that complacency and bureaucratic negligence have cost innocent lives. Public pressure has also mounted for Indian Railways to start mandatory emergency drills and create mobile alert systems that can notify passengers instantly of real-time developments. Families in mourning. The tragedy has devastated families across states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, and Punjab. Many of the deceased were sole breadwinners, traveling for work or returning to cities after spending summer holidays with loved ones. Their sudden, violent deaths have left a void in homes that were already struggling to survive. One grieving mother in Saharsa, Bihar, said through tears, he had just returned to work after visiting us. We told him to stay one more day. If only he had listened. Social organizations and local communities have begun organizing fundraisers and memorial services. However, for many families, no amount of compensation will replace what they've lost. A national wake-up call. As the country grapples with the tragedy, many are calling this incident a national wake-up call. The convergence of fear, poor communication, and lack of infrastructure turned a manageable situation into a mass fatality. India's journey toward becoming a modern rail powerhouse must include not just faster trains but safer ones, where every passenger feels informed, protected, and secure. Until then, the memories of those lost in this horrific incident will remain a stark reminder of the work yet to be done. Final thoughts. What happened on the tracks near Sirhind is more than just a tragic accident, it's a failure of systems designed to protect human life. 13 souls lost in an instant of confusion and fear should never have died that way. Their story is now a somber warning for a nation that must not look away. This heartbreaking tragedy reminds us how quickly panic can turn deadly, and how urgently railway systems need to prioritize safety, communication, and preparedness. Thanks for watching and taking the time to understand this important story. Your awareness can help drive change. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe for more real stories that matter. Let's raise our voices for better safety and honor the lives lost by demanding change. Until next time, stay informed, stay safe.